Florida is now in a summer sales tax holiday for pretty much everything fun under the sun. So for the next 14 weeks, you can get things like coolers and even goggles tax-free. Argentine black and white tegu, if this is what that is, was added to the FWC's prohibited species list in 2021. Your hand. So I'd be able to go on my phone and ask for a funky electronic beat. Well, there it is. But what if I wanted something different? Maybe make it a little bit darker and slower. Well, it can adjust based on your recommendation. Take a look at this, a sinkhole in Marion County, nearly 35 feet wide, and even standing at the edge, I could not see the bottom. The house nearby has been deemed dangerous to live in. The Yucatan Waterfront Restaurant, a place meant for food and fun, is now focused on the evacuation. The people on these buses believe that the indictment is wrong, and they plan to go down to Miami today to show their support for the former president. Gainesville serves as the headquarters for North Florida. And the extent of that network stretches from big tech companies all the way to local police departments. For example, a social media giant like Facebook receives a report about an image on its platform. It would then send that tip to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They then look into the case to see where the individual or group might reside. And if the crime does occur in North Florida, the contact is the ICAC headquarters at GPD. Investigators like Christopher King then determine the proper county and contact the specific department to assign them the case. Cases like the one of Jalen Kitna. Chris Murphy lives for the water. The Gainesville native unloads his boat, starts the engine, and heads out for the day.
We're getting ready to go on the lake and do some wake surfing. That's what we pretty much do nonstop.
But this isn't one of those typical days.
We can take one more if somebody wants to go.
On this day, he's going out for something else. Unfamiliar scenery, hundreds of miles from home. He's helping Hurricane Ian survivors.
Everything's pretty much decimated from what we understand, and so we're going to hope to go out there and pick some people up and bring them back and help them get back to food, shelter.
Murphy, along with his daughter and her husband, made the trip from North Central Florida to help those impacted by the storm.
Caught an hour or two of sleep in the Publix parking lot, and now we're at it.
The destination is Pine Island. Residents of the small farming island have been without power and water since the start of the storm.
I don't know what's going on. I'm sitting here in the dark for 2 days.
Dinger is one of thousands. All the residents on the island have been cut off from the mainland after the roads and bridges were washed out by the storm surge. Here at the Yucatan Waterfront Restaurant, a place meant for food and fun, is now focused on the evacuation. As many residents try to leave the island, the U.S. Coast Guard and other first responders from across the state have turned their resources to the region to help any way they can.
The community comes together in every natural disaster that we have. We have the strongest knit community around anywhere. When Katrina happened over there in New Orleans, we sent 50 crews, trucks, boats over there to help them, and they're paying us back the same way. I've seen people from Mississippi, Louisiana.
Even Dinger, who's been impacted by the storm, has taken to the roads to make them safe for travel. Despite that, he still feels lost.
You know, I just don't know what to do. I'm willing to lend a hand if I knew who to lend it to.
Joining the many hands, mobilizing to help those impacted by the storm, including Murphy.
Knowing that we had the resources to do something, we just decided to come down and work the weekend to help some people out.
And as his boat cuts through the water, Murphy and his family are helping the people of Southwest Florida one ride at a time. On Pine Island, Chris Will, WUFT News. Music.
Yep, it's the same thing I had last time happen.
It's everything for Dan Jensel.
Literally without music, I probably don't have a personality.
Dan has worked at Mothership Studios in San Francisco for over a decade, helping others find the key to their artistic expression.
And then C.
But it really does sort of like warp reality and take you to places.
And as someone who grew up around music, he has seen and heard it all.
So many things. outlets for expression, ways to connect with strangers and like-minded individuals or meet different people.
But a new form of music is right on the cusp of being composed by the hands of artificial intelligence.
We have actually trained an AI. Our AI platform is creative in itself.
Melissa works for Authentic Artists, which is working to integrate ChatGPT into the music industry, putting the power of a studio into the palm of your hand. So I'd be able to go on my phone and ask for a funky electronic beat. Well, there it is. But what if I wanted something different? Maybe make it a little bit darker and slower. Well, it can adjust based on your recommendation. Bringing the fans into the creative space.
Putting creative tools in their hands and maybe sparking creativity that they didn't know that they had.
And while some consider this era of AI to be the next chapter of man versus machine, many musicians say the two can exist in harmony.
I don't think it's going to take anything away from me because that human element is something that can't be recreated.
A human element, Dan says, will continue to the beat of its own drum, or his bass guitar, with a little help from AI. For the Hearst Journalism Awards, I'm Chris Will.